Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days. This will be taking us into the start of August now. So we're going into the first week of August with the week to 10 day weather updates, videos. And it looks like we're going to be keeping things pretty warm to hot really throughout the next week to 10 days. There are a few cooler days here and there appearing within the model output. But overall, it looks like the heat wave goes on for the next week to 10 days, probably through the first half of August, to be honest. With, I say, some cooler days mixed in. We may get some heavy showers and thunderstorms as well on Friday. That's all looking a little bit hit and miss. Been asked about this when we're going to do Storm Watch, and I'm keeping an eye on it. So if it looks like there will be a significant risk of thunderstorms on Friday, then I'll do an update, of course. But at the moment, it just looks generally quite hit and miss. It's still a few days away, and I think we just need to observe where that's going. So, to the person asked about that, yes, there will be Storm Watch coming up later this week if it looks like it's warranted. We probably won't know that until tomorrow or Thursday. So, watch your space on that. Right, so get on with today's second video for you in a second. Just to say that the first video today had a look at the next 30 days from the ECMWF. Looks like we're keeping the broad pattern going right way through into the middle of August, really, with high pressure blocking things out in the north of Europe. Always a little bit more unsettled through southern parts of Europe, and this big block of high pressure looks like it's going nowhere fast, certainly for the next couple of weeks. Anyway, so have a look at that, see what you think. Going to start off having a look at the central England temperatures. So we've only got a week left for this now, and we are still very, very much on a knife edge between whether we're going to get our hottest ever July and hottest ever month on record. So at the moment, July 2018, which you see in the box just here, is standing at 19.4 degrees, an anomaly of 3.7 degrees above average. It's provisional up to yesterday, 23rd of July. Now, I've only got a week left, and that is very, very close to being the hottest, not only the hottest July, but also the hottest month on record. This is the CET index, and I've incorporated this into Gav's Weather Vids now. So you can find a link to this page on the links page at Gav's Weather Vids. It indexes every month's central England temperature right the way back to 1659. CET is the longest long-term temperature record, most consistent long-term temperature record anywhere on Earth, and we've got it now. The full index is incorporated into Gav's Weather Vids. It took many hours of work to get each and every single month onto this page at Gav's Weather Vids. It took several weeks to bring this together, but I finally got it done. So let's go down through the 1600s, 1700s, through the 1800s, into the 1900s. Some really fascinating months contained within there. And we come down to the present day, which of course, or the present century, which of course starts at 2000. And we come down to the current year of 2018, which is, of course, is this year just here, and we see that the last month in the CT index at the moment is June at 16.1. We're interested in the July column. There have been 3 Julys in the 20th century, or the 21st century, that have had central temperatures of 19 degrees or above. So we've got 2006, this one just here at 19.7. That's what we've got to beat. That is the hottest July and the hottest month on CET record. We are at 19.4 provisional, so we're just at the moment, we're just under the all-time hottest July and hottest month on record. There have only been 2 other times when we've had the CET into into the 19s. 1995, just here, and that happened in August. August 1995 had a CET of 19.2, so at the moment, provisionally, we are beating August 1992. And then the only other time it's happened is in 1983, just up here. July 1983 came out with a CT of 19.5. So provisionally we're above August 1995. We are a little bit, just a fraction under July 1983, and a little bit under our all-time hottest month and hottest July on record, which is 2006 at 19.7. Will we beat 2006? Again, our hottest July, hottest month on record. It's going to be very much touch and go. The only thing I would say is that we probably see this tick up a little bit at the end of the week. So Thursday, Friday, going to be a couple of very hot days. After that, maybe it stabilises or possibly ticks down slightly. And the only thing that I think might count against us in terms of getting this record is that we might get a downwards correction. Very often the CET is corrected down at the end of the month when they come to divvy up the numbers. It doesn't always happen. Occasionally you'll get a correction upwards, but 9 times out of 10 this gets corrected downwards. So in the end we might just miss this record, but it is going to be a very close one thing. And I think there's a very good chance we're going to have our 4th ever CET month in the 19s. Anyway, very good chance of that. But whether we get the record, whether we beat 2006, that is looking rather touch and go. Now, not only has it been very hot, of course, it's also been exceptionally dry. I saw this tweeted by the UK Met Office. This is the rainfall amount for the UK provisional up to 23rd of July, so from the 1st through to 21st of July. Just look how dry it's been. All parts of the country have the moment had a drier than average month, but exceptionally dry across particularly England and some parts of Wales too, in those dark brown colours, which is like underneath 20% of average rainfall. So essentially no particular measurable rainfall in many of those areas in those deep brown colours through the course of this July, and that follows on from what was an exceptionally dry June as well. So the temperature is one aspect of this tremendous summer, but the precipitation, the rainfall, is the other aspect of it. Exceptional dryness, and I think this is at the moment, I think this is beating both 1976 and 1995 for consistent dryness, to be honest. Because even those 2 years did have some rainfall going around. There wasn't very much of it, but there were a few thunderstorms and showery outbreaks. Haven't had that at all across some parts of the country this month. So exceptionally dry and very hot summer. And it's all to play for, really, as we're going into what will be, of course, the final month of the meteorological summer. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average at Manchester today. So pretty warm there at Manchester today, but ticking down a little bit in the next few hours, then rising again on Thursday into Friday. Real burst of heat coming along Thursday, Friday. And we're actually going to just about miss the core of that. I'll show you in a moment just how hot it's going to get just over the other side of the channel and the North Sea. So we're almost on the periphery of a tremendous heat wave at the end of the week. Then a drop down into the weekend for a little while. So as I said, there are some cooler days showing up, some days where we might be able to freshen things up a little bit, but not a consistent end to this heat wave at this stage. And then we go through this first week of August. We've been talking about this a lot videos lately, and it turns just consistently hot then through the first week of August. As I've been saying in the videos, first week of August tends to be the hottest part of the year in a lot of our hot summers. And it could well be that's what's going to happen again for this one. As far as rainfall is concerned, for Manchester, there will be some rain coming up. So particularly on Thursday to Friday, just here, So that's probably thunderstorms associated with this spike in the temperature. And then over weekend and into next week, some showery bursts showing up. Bear in mind that's for northwest England. It's one of the wettest places in the UK, although it hasn't stopped them being given a drought order and a hosepipe ban, of course. But it's one of the wettest places in the country, so if you were stuck at somewhere like London, it probably would be quite a bit drier than that. And even then, not really consistent rainfall, you would have to say. It all looks rather mediocre. To be honest. Temperature anomalies for the next week. This goes from the 24th of July to 1st of August, coming out hotter than average for the UK and for most parts of Europe. Again, how often have we been saying this in the videos lately? Look at Scandinavia. We've got temperature anomalies there, up to 10 degrees above average. Parts of Germany, Belgium and Holland also with temperature anomalies 8 to 10 degrees above average. Going to be some really exceptional heat. Actually, the UK isn't as hot in the coming week as northern and central parts of Western Europe, but we're still doing okay. We're still sort of at least 2 to 4 degrees above average quite widely. Precipitation anomalies looking like that. Southern parts of England and Wales coming out with another drier than average week from the 24th of July to 1st of August. Up in the north, it does look a little bit more showery up there. So this is how the GFS is picking things up for Thursday, and we're pulling up some very hot air on Thursday with high pressure to the east of us, so Scandinavia, low pressure to the west, and in between, yeah, we bring up that very warm to hot southerly to southeasterly wind. There's the upper air temperatures, they're looking hot, so it's a little bit cooler today, actually, a little bit more of a fresher feel, especially for the central northern parts of the country, but make most of it towards the end of the week. The heat really starts to build again. Don't show you these charts very often. These are the thickness charts. It's just another way of viewing temperature, really. Where you see this lemon coloured line, that is the 564 line, and behind that you will have hot air. The air will always be very hot behind the 564 line. This green line just here, this sort of lime coloured line, is the 546, and that one is a much cooler temperature. So behind that you've got kind of like autumnal temperatures. You notice how that line is generally to the northwest of the country, so it's covering Greenland and Iceland. It's lurking there up to the north. When we get to October, we will see that 546 line move down over the UK and much of northern Europe. And when that happens, we will go into autumnal temperatures. And this blue coloured line up here, that's the 528 thickness line. That's winter. It's only a little patch of it over Greenland at the moment, but in the next few months that will expand across the northern latitudes, and as we get to winter, when you see that 528 line appearing over the UK, then that's one of the minimum requirements that we look at to get sleet or snow. There you go, you didn't think you'd hear the mention of snow in the video today, did you? So we go through to Friday, and again, we've got the high pressure blocking over Scandinavia, we've got low pressure out in the Atlantic. It's sending a front into the UK, and it's running into some very warm to hot air. There's the upper air temperatures for Friday. Look how hot they are just to our east. We really are on the periphery of a tremendous heat wave. This heat wave will be engulfing France and the Low Countries and into Germany too. Now, although on the periphery of it, I think for the southeastern part of the country, we're going to see temperatures at least to below 30 Celsius on Thursday, possibly into Friday, on Friday as well. And it isn't out of the question, actually, that the far southeast might get into the mid-30s Celsius, even though we are more or less on the periphery. So just going to show you how hot it's going to be on the other side of the channel. These are the afternoon temperatures on Thursday. For the Low Countries, for Belgium and Holland, we're looking at 32 to 34 degrees widely, just over the other side of the channel. The GFS model doesn't want to clip that into the southeast, but it certainly is possible that it could do. So I wouldn't be that surprised in the far southeast if we get temperatures to 34 or 35 degrees on Thursday afternoon. And then that's Friday afternoon. And again, you see very, very hot there for you. Belgium, Holland, also into northeastern parts of France and extending into western parts of Germany. Talking about 35, 36 degrees is indicated there across the Low Countries. There is a 36 there. That's getting close to kind of like 97, 98 Fahrenheit. So it's not going to be too far away from 100 Fahrenheit, just over the other side of the Channel and the North Sea. And as I said, there is the potential, we're on the periphery of it, there is the potential to import some of that very extreme heat, it is extreme heat, into the extreme southeastern part of the country Thursday and Friday. It just depends how quickly this front comes across the country on Friday and starts to move that out of the way. So that's the synoptic setup for Friday. Again, we've got the low pressure to the west, we've got high pressure blocking things out to the east. That's the upper air temperatures. And it is suggesting the risk of some thunderstorms through the course of Friday with these very high temperatures, particularly so in the east as this cooler air is trying to come in from off the Atlantic. How widespread those thunderstorms are, I think it is very much open to question at the moment. To me, they're looking quite hit and miss, but I'm going to keep an eye on them. If this thunderstorm risk gets upgraded, you will see storm watch later on in the week. We go through to the weekend and we introduce some slightly cooler, fresher air over the weekend, but it's still looking pretty warm, to be honest, out to the west with those southerly, southwesterly winds. And the broad setup continues through to Monday. We've still got this huge area of high pressure blocking things out over Scandinavia with the low pressure out to the west. The winds are from a southerly, southeasterly direction like that, so the broad setup isn't really changing. Upper air temperatures still look very warm through to Monday. Then Tuesday into Wednesday we start to bring some cooler air in from off the Atlantic. This is properly cooler air moving in from off the Atlantic with the upper air temperatures lowering quite a bit. There's the thickness lines again. Notice that green line I was just mentioning, the 546 line, that is actually moving down into Scotland and Northern Ireland. That would feel quite autumnal, believe it or not, on Tuesday next week if it came off. That's a much cooler massa there that's heading in from off the Atlantic through the early part of next week. Will be a welcome relief, I think, for most parts of the country. But it doesn't last long. After that cooler day or so, we find ourselves in the second half of next week going back to the pattern again of high pressure being over Scandinavia and low pressures out to the west, and so that draws up those hot southerly southeasterly winds once again. And then we get to day 10, a little bit beyond day 10, high pressure dominating the weather. It's turning hotter again through this first week of August. Look how hot it is over France. Those hot temperatures are starting to move our way. That green 546 line is back to Greenland and Iceland, and we're importing the 564 line, and it's turning much hotter once again as we go through that first week of August. So no definitive breakdown to this heat wave. We might get some cooler days, especially early next week, but no sign of a definitive breakdown. Further into the first week of August remains very hot with those upper air temperatures, especially so for the south and for the east of the country. That's how we finish this particular GFS run on Thursday, the 9th of August. So France, much of the continent still looking really, really hot. Up to the north, it is trying to cool down just a little bit. So we're possibly going into a slightly more changeable phase over the next couple of weeks, with temperatures a little bit more variable, a little bit more up and down, but it by no means means that the heat is over and done with. ECWF looks like that for Friday, so high pressure over Scandinavia, low pressures out to the west. We're on the periphery of that very extreme heat. That's just to the east and south of the country. Might trigger thunderstorms from Friday through to Saturday as this cooler air begins to move in from off the Atlantic and it freshens up a little bit over the weekend. That's Monday, when again we're probably drawing up some quite hot air again from the south on Monday next week before it turns a little bit cooler again from the Atlantic on Tuesday. And then we go through to Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. We're up to day 10. and high pressure is really in control of the weather. Look at the upper air temperatures by day 10. They're looking very, very hot, to say the least, to 15 Celsius at 850 HPA. And so if we could roll on another day or so, that's to Friday the 3rd of August, if we could roll on another day or so, it's not impossible that we might be importing some very extreme heat up from the south with that through the first week of August. Finally, the GEM, I'll just quickly run through these charts. So it looks a little bit more changeable with the GEM over weekend and into next week, and a bit cooler as well. That's one of the things that might stop us from achieving that all-time CET record July and month. If it does turn a little bit cooler through the early part of next week, that probably will put the stop on that record falling. And we'll go into extended range with the GEM. Look what it does. This is day 10, Friday the 3rd of August. After that little cooler and more unsettled interlude early next week, it turns very hot through the second half of next week as we bring up that southerly to southeasterly flow. There's the upper air temperatures. Extreme heat just to the east and the south of us. So it goes on. We're going to keep the hot weather going for the next week to 10 days. Through the first week of August, we may get our hottest weather of this summer. And before that, well, it's going to be really warm to hot over the next few days. We're on the periphery of extreme heat in the southeast Thursday to Friday. Don't rule out the chance for the far southeast that you might get temperatures to 34 or 35 degrees Thursday or Friday into mid-90s Fahrenheit. It just depends whether those very high temperatures manage to creep over the Channel and the North Sea. But yeah, it's a very warm outlook, and it remains hot and dry. The long hot summer of 2018 continues. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.